Okay, great. Okay. You know, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about yourself, what you currently do in the data space.
My name is Beryl Kanali. I am a data scientist and community manager. I'm currently a master's student pursuing a master's in statistics. And apart from that, I volunteer as a data umbrella community manager part-time.
What communities are you a member and a contributor of?
Currently, I am a member and contributor of one, the Data Umbrella community, the Outreachy community, the Bioconductor community, and the PyMC community.
And how did you first become involved in these communities?
So typically my community involvement started in 2021, where I joined the Data Umbrella scikit-learn sprint. And then from there is when I learned about communities. And then I joined the Data Umbrella community, where I later came on as a community manager. For the Bioconductor community and Outreachy community, I applied for the Outreachy internship, which is an internship that happens twice a year. So I was in the 2022 December cohort, where I was working under the Bioconductor project for documenting a Swift to RMD documents to our Markdown documents. And for the PyMC community, I also got involved through the Data Umbrella community, where I am a contributor and also I was a community manager there. So that is how I got in the community.
Great. What does community mean to you?
For me, I would say community means being in the same space as people who have the same interests and goals as you, and it's a place where you can interact, learn, and exchange knowledge with people, and you can also be of service to other community members by teaching and mentoring as well.
What do you think makes community so important?
From my personal experience, I think what makes community so important is the ability to work together and learn from others. So individually, especially in the tech space, there's a little much of information out there. So it can be confusing on what to take in and what not to take in. So coming in a community, you have people who are around you that have gone through the same journey and you can learn from them. It's also a way of get an impact to other people. If you volunteer for a community or as a part of a community, you can be involved in activities that might be of impact in terms of growing other people and also growing very encouraging coming up projects that might be of importance to other people who have the same interest as you. So that is why I think community is so important.
And why do you contribute to these communities that you're a part of?
So my main motivation towards contributing to communities, it's our way of learning. I think the best way of learning is by doing. So being part of these communities and me contributing to these communities in different capacities, it's enabled me to learn, one as a data professional and two as a community manager as well. And generally just as a person, there are also other non-technical skills that you get to learn from the community. So that's the main the main reason why I contribute to community. It's also a way of giving back to the community. I have been a beneficiary of communities where I've learned, I've grown through communities. So as my way of giving back to these communities is being able to contribute to the projects they have or the initiatives. And also it's part of me doing something that is greater, not only for myself, but for other people out there who might need it.
That's a great answer. What makes you keep coming back and contributing to the communities?
The first thing I would say is the communities that I'm in are very welcoming in that you really feel welcomed and a part of the people there. So that is the main reasons why I keep coming back, because I know like the people in those communities are free to like answer my questions, help me find my way in case I need some clarification on things, and also help me grow. And the other thing is the skills that I learned. Most of my skills I've learned through community. So it helps me keep in touch with what's going on, which skills do I need to learn and improve. So I keep coming back and contributing to this community as a way to learn and grow my skills, and also use the skills that I have.
So you're involved in a few different communities, but let's go to, say, the Data Umbrella community. How have you found the Data Umbrella community work to be beneficial to you?
So one is a sense of belonging. So as Data Umbrella is a community of underrepresented people in data science, machine learning, and AI, I have had that sense of belonging where I have met people who were even never part of communities such as Data Umbrella before. So the first benefit from Data Umbrella is just having that sense of belonging. Oh, there's a community I can learn from, I can contribute, regardless of any other factors that might be surrounding me. The other thing about Data Umbrella is I have learned a lot from 2021 November till now. It's not that much of time, but I have learned a lot in terms of technical skills and non-technical skills. Through the events that Data Umbrella holds, I've gotten to learn some technical stuff that I didn't know or wouldn't learn in a classroom setting or on my own. I've also learned some non-technical skills, which are very important in terms of interacting to people and growing my career. And also opportunities. Data Umbrella has really opened a lot of opportunities for me. I have learned of what I can do as a person, not only as a data scientist, but my community management journey started at Data Umbrella, which has now grown where I have been able to work as a community manager, and I look forward to working as a community manager and just having a Data Umbrella as part of my resume. It has really, really opened a lot of opportunities and networks with other people out there.
And I guess some of those opportunities are your involvements in other communities, such as Outreachy and with Bioconductor, as well as PyMC, right?
Yeah, sure.
And you're also involved in a mentoring community, right?
Yeah. I am part of KamiLimu, which is a nonprofit mentoring program where we mentor upcoming university students who want to have careers in tech. So the main goal of KamiLimu is to complement the classroom skills that these students have with the outside skills that might not be taught in a classroom setting. So, for example, CV writing, presentation skills, research skills, how to pitch in an innovation competition, how to present your ideas, public speaking, and whatnot. So we just try to complement what the students don't learn in a formal classroom setting with skills that are needed outside there for them to thrive in their different tech careers.
Can you name an example or an instance when you've seen a community event work really, really well?
So I'll give an example of Outreachy. So Outreachy being a community, especially in the open source space, I have seen people joining the community as just community members and then being able to get internships in different projects. And those internships have turned to those interns getting full-time jobs. I have also seen people meeting others from different countries under the Outreachy communities because it caters to people from different continents. So I've also seen people networking and people starting initiatives after being part of the Outreachy community. I've also seen people starting startups. So, for example, in the KamiLimu community that I am a part of, and I am also a mentor, I have seen people start by just learning how to innovate, which went and now they have like full startups. Like, for example, here in Kenya, we have different startups that have been born and nurtured through KamiLimu.
And, can you name an instance when you think, where you've seen community not work well?
Yeah, I've been part of other communities apart from the ones that I've mentioned before. And sadly, I didn't get a reason to go back to those communities because I felt that the communities did not work. So one of the reasons was where we had the leadership of the community treats the community as a personal entity. So when people in a community run the community, even if it's volunteer, but they want it for commercial gain, and they do not take care of the community members' needs and what the community members might benefit from, then that is one step to failing as a community. So for me, I have been part of communities where I joined the communities, but it didn't work. And the main reason was the leadership of the community didn't really take into consideration what the real meaning of a community is, but instead took it as a private company and wanted to take ownership, which really made a lot of people drop out of those communities or didn't really get what they wanted from those communities.
So, you've been a community contributor for a while, at least 2021 or before that, would you say?
Yeah, somehow, let's just say 2021 is when I was active, very active in contributing, especially, not just being part of the communities.
So what are you what are some of the challenges of being a community contributor? What difficult situations have you faced?
So one is language barrier, and let's just talk about demographics in general. So when you're part of communities, especially after the inception of COVID, most communities had to go the online route. So when you have a community that has people from different demographics, there's always an issue of one, language barrier, and two, time. So time is a really big factor when you have people having a time difference of 10 plus hours, and maybe you would want to have an event for the community. So it sometimes posed difficulty in just making sure that we can include as much people as possible in those activities. And number two is language barriers. Most communities, especially that I'm part of, operate in English, but I have been part of other communities where we had a lot of people primary language was not English. And given that communities mostly are run by volunteers, so just being able to have resources that accommodate people who do not understand or speak English has been difficult. Another difficulty is our community is made up of people, and people really have different personalities. And I've worked in communities where you had to really learn how to accommodate people's personalities. Sometimes it has worked, sometimes it has not, where some people have felt like they're not appreciated or they're not heard. So dealing with people's personalities sometimes might pose as a challenge, being a member of a community and also being a volunteer of a community. And the other thing is community requires a lot of self-motivation. If you're a contributor to the community, it requires a lot of self-motivation because you're not being paid to contribute to a community most of the time, or you're not being compensated. So it's something that comes from the heart. So the difficulty at first is some people might think that community contributors have all the time and that they're doing this because they are paid or something like that. So it has been a difficult situation in terms where you have to explain to some community members to be patient and community volunteers or other community members time to maybe attend to their needs or answer their questions. But all in all, given that communities are like a group of people with the same interests, sometimes these are difficulties that will come and go and also come in future. So it's just a way of learning as a community member and as a community contributor. How can I navigate these difficulties when they can? And also how can we make community members read from the same page in terms of how they can accommodate each other and provide a welcoming environment for everyone.
Great. One of the things that I've noticed from collaborating with you as well is the internet access issue as well, and that different tools work in better in different regions. For example, we used to use say Discord for online events or Zoom, but in certain regions, for instance, Google Meet works better because it's much lighter. in terms of, technical resources to work. And
Yeah.
so that's important as well.
Yeah, that's also important. Yeah, especially speaking from my experience as coming from Africa, you might find some community members really want to be part of communities, but as a community, you can't provide a data bundles, which especially in my continent, it's very expensive. And sometimes the best internet bandwidth we have cannot support some of the tools that are out here. So communities really have to adapt. Like in Data Umbrella, we have to use tools that are can be used by as many people as possible, especially the lightweight tools like Google Meet. Sometimes Zoom also is a good tool, but it requires a higher bandwidth as compared to a Google Meet. The same to Discord. So yeah, those are some of the difficulties. And with time, it keeps getting better as other countries develop. But this is also something that really troubles a lot of other communities, not just Data Umbrella.
Right. How do you think, we've had this discussion a few times, how do you think we can sort of, it hasn't been easy to sort of attract and retain volunteers, right? Do you have any ideas on how to do that?
So for me, I would say one is definitely given that communities are run by volunteers, and this is, as I said, free work that mostly requires a lot of self motivation. I think one, communities have to understand that it's a gradual process. One, you have to work with what you have right now, and the other thing is to identify what will make a volunteer, like what type of volunteers we have, because like in Data Umbrella, we had to sit down and think of how can people contribute as volunteers, different ways to contribute, given that as volunteers, we can't all contribute in the same aspect. So one, it would be to identify the different ways a volunteer can contribute to your community. And then when you call out your volunteers and they come, it's good to explain to them the different ways they can contribute to the communities, what is needed from them, because I have seen cases where people want to volunteer. Yes, they want to volunteer, but they do not know what is required of them and what time they might need, the availability, and how much self-motivation they might need. So many of them, it's like they don't really have a good understanding of what they are signing up for. So making sure that those people who want to contribute to your community understand what they're getting themselves into, it would be a good way. Another thing would be sometimes give it time. Most people who become community volunteers are people who have been part of the community for long, not in all cases, but I think as community members sometimes change. Like for us in Data Umbrella, we might have consistent community members and contributors, and some of them are not consistent. So giving it time and making sure that at the end of the day, it will be something someone is willing to do. And sometimes it's just asking. Sometimes you never know if someone wants to become a contributor or a volunteer if you do not ask. So asking, advertising there, hey, we would volunteers, but at the same time being open-minded that this volunteer might come and it will be a long-term thing. It might be just a short-term thing, and be okay with that. Yeah.
Right. Thanks. Is there anything else that you want to share that you want to share with people in the community?
Yeah, I think my parting shot would just be we should all, being part of communities, we should all try and create healthy communities, which is really important, like a community where your community members feel welcome and included. Always taking feedback from community members. Sometimes there's no feedback, but just asking them, hey, can you give us feedback? Sometimes it helps to know what your community members are thinking. So all in all, communities are evolving. The world is becoming smaller, so we have a lot of people from different backgrounds, different cultures. So just making sure that we are fostering healthy communities and making sure that our community members are feeling like they are welcomed and included in the community will go a long way as we strive to build better communities around the world.
Great. Thank you.
Welcome.